drama with your body. Cool. Well, we get started. This is always the most awkward part, is like making sure everything's alignment. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for Pilates All Levels. My name is Audra, and today we're going to use one of the purple balls. If you don't have one at home, that is fine. You can take a pillow and fold it. You can do some of this with a foam roller behind you, or you can just say no thank you to the prop and just use your own muscles. As always, don't do anything that doesn't feel right for your body. And we're going to get started on our back, knees bent, feet flat. Go ahead and put the ball or pillow between your knees and just kind of find your center, right? Maybe you realize like, oh, one side is kind of lower than the other, or one side is hiked, and just feel free to let your hips move back and forth a couple times, just finding what feels comfortable for you today. And then we're just going to breathe for a second. So inhale in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And just a couple more. And just notice, without judgment, what part of your body is moving when you inhale and exhale. If, for example, it's your shoulders or your sternum, you could be using your secondary respiration muscles a lot to inhale and exhale, in which case I would encourage you to lower your breath, send it low into your sits bones, and then notice maybe, oh, your stomach is moving, but only forward. In which case I would encourage you to try to widen through your rib cage and hip bones. 2 more breaths. Trying to fill your entire torso like a soda can. Low, wide, behind as well as front. On your next exhale, gently squeeze the ball. And then relax on your inhale. On your next exhale, we're going to do the same thing, but think about your hip bones gently pulling towards your belly button. With muscle, not spine shape. And on your next one, think of your ribs gently pulling towards your belly button. Couple more. Just trying to find a gentle little bit of transverse abdominis activation. And maybe a little baby bit of front pelvic floor activation. On your next exhale, hold the engagement and rock your hips into an imprint. So let your lower back melt towards the ground. Your tailbone will point towards your face a little bit, and then rock back to neutral and relax. Just a couple more, trying to find that engagement of muscles first, movement second, and then relax. 1 more. Come back to center. Interlace your hands behind your head. Spiral your elbows forward into your peripheral vision. Nod your chins ever so slightly. On your next exhale, think about everything hollowing, and then curl your collarbones forward, coming into your first chest lift or ab prep. Bring your hands forward, push into an imaginary wall, and then bring your hands back behind your head. Hold for a second. Now, as we hold, try to fill your ribs and back with breath. If you're breathing forward, right, your head is going to lower and it's really hard to maintain that lift. If you're breathing into your back, it's almost like it pushes you up a little bit and helps create buoyancy. 2 more breaths here. Last one. Slowly lengthen all the way down. On your next exhale, we're coming back up. Try to find that same height you found when you offloaded with your hands. Now, maybe bring your hands forward and push them into that imaginary wall again. And then bring them back behind your head. Slowly, slowly, slowly lower. Just a couple more. Getting your abs warmed up. Getting your spine moving. And slowly lower. Last one like this. Now this next move won't look like very much, but hopefully you can access your obliques. So maintaining your chest lift, all we're going to do is move our hips. So imprint your spine, pull your hip bones towards your face, maintaining your height, rock your hips back to neutral. So pull them towards your face, rock them back to neutral. Couple more. Notice how when you imprint, it's much easier to lift, and when you're in neutral, it's much harder to maintain that position, right? So try to let yourself lift if you need to, and then do what you can not to lower. 2 more. Only going into a position that feels all right on your back. Last one. And slowly lengthen all the way down. How did those obliques feel? Great. Go ahead, let your elbows be in your periphery, and then just let one elbow drop to the side. Inhale, exhale, lift. See what your body does if you don't move your elbows. It gets a little rotation, right? Come back down, switch elbows. Inhale, exhale. See what your body naturally wants to do if you don't move your elbows, right? It creates a little rotation, right? We're just going back and forth. Coming down, switch the elbows. Couple more here. And notice how the side that's out to the side, it is harder to lift from, which is why it creates rotation, right? We get one more each direction, letting one elbow point even forward if it needs to. Good. And last one. Now come back to center. Now let both elbows be wide. Keep them wide and curl forward. Notice how it's a little bit harder to get up, and maybe your gaze is now behind you slightly. Now bring your elbows forward and look down at your nose a little bit. And it should be easier to come up. Now go ahead, reach one hand to your side. And we're gonna reach to that hand as we come up and over, like we're trying to avoid a cat or a puppy in our side and get the TV remote, and then lengthen all the way back to center. And then again, so it's an up and over rather than a crunch. Good. Couple more. Coming back just to center, and then other side. If you need a break in between, that's all right. Otherwise, we're an up and over, and then lengthen, right? Like a bendy straw that's just being brought back to center. Couple more. And 2. Last one. Come back to center, lower down. Bring your feet closer to you if they were farther away. Imprint your spine on your exhale. And then push into your big toe mound and peel your spine up off the ground as if you were peeling a sticker off the wall. First one doesn't necessarily count, right? We're just gonna check in. So feel where your weight is. If it is on your neck, or it feels like you are lifting from your armpits, or you just feel your low back, hollow out through the front of your body. Weight should be shoulder blades. Lower back soft, tailbone gently tucked. And then melt through your throat, your ribs, your low back, and your hips. Now, if you're like me and your shoulders love to internally rotate, you can always flip your palms to face the sky or even each other. Couple more as we imprint and peel. And then melt. Trying to let the tissue of your low back just sink and spread and melt into the floor. Couple more here. And last one. Good. Melt all the way down. Now we are going to take your prop out from between your knees, come up into your bridge and slide it underneath your sacrum. So peel and slide the prop underneath your hips. So if you feel it touching your low back, it might be a little bit high. If you feel like it's about to shoot out from you and go across the room, it might be a little too low. We would like it in between your cheeks. Now, without activating your erectors or tucking your tailbone, we're just gonna think about putting a little bit of extra weight on the ball, just a little, and then relax. And then again, try to find your low abdominals here. You can also think about hot lava coming at you, so you draw your belly button down and away. Good. Everybody feel that little bit of extra engagement when you press down? You can give me a thumbs up. Good, good. All right. Last one. Hold the engagement. Press down just a little bit, push down with one foot, let one leg float to tabletop. Your tabletop. Good. And then reach that knee away, pushing that foot into the floor, other side. We're gonna start with a march. And one reason we're beginning with the march is I want you to actively push into the floor, right? It's easy to kind of gently place your foot down, but I want you to push. Try to root your foot down, toe ball heel. Notice how that hamstring helps activate, yeah? Now, as the hamstring starts activating, hopefully, if you tend to feel a lot of quad and hip flexor, it will tell your nervous system not to worry as much about the quad and hip flexor, right? Give me just a couple more. Last one, bring your other leg to tabletop. So now both feet are up, squeeze those inner thighs together as if you're trying to pop a balloon. Now, your tabletop could be heels down or knees in, depending on what's comfortable for your body. Imagine pushing one foot into a couch that you're trying to push across the room, and you're gonna reach that foot away from you. And then let the heel come down to the ground, drag that foot in, other side. Reach it away, pushing into that couch. Now, it could be an IKEA couch, but those are pretty easy to move. So I'd like you to pretend it's like a couch from the 70s. You know, it's like got the real wood, it's like heavier. It'll help you find a little bit more texture through the movement. And if your hips start wobbling, maybe don't go into as full of a range, right? Maybe stopping at 3/4 is where your body is. 2 more. Using your breath here. And then both legs can extend towards the sky. Okay, now let one foot start to press down to the ground. Flex that foot, it floats back up. Other side. Now, depending on your hamstring flexibility, maybe your feet are more directly over your hips rather than your face, and that's fine. Maybe your knees bend. That's okay too. Straighten your legs to your best ability. Get the scissors. And in a little bit, we're gonna sharpen our scissors. You guys excited about it? Good. It's not easy, I'm not gonna lie. Last one, each side. And then bend your knees back. Now squeeze your heels together and spiral your thigh bones slightly out to the side so you're in a frog position. Inhale, think about your thigh bones connecting to your ribs. Exhale, press your feet away, coming into a little mermaid shape, and then let the knees fold in. Let's do a couple more. The couch is still there. And as the knees fold in, think about your sits bones widening. Think about gravity helping your knees come in, as opposed to just pulling from the hip flexors, right? It's almost like a squat in that I want you to envision sending your butt down towards your feet as opposed to just pulling the feet in. Good. Last two. Do you feel a slight difference in your muscle recruitment when you think of sending your hips down toward your feet versus pulling your knees in? Maybe yes, maybe no. Everybody's body is different. Last one. Go ahead, set one foot down, other foot comes down. Lift your hips, take the prop away, and roll all the way down. Go ahead and extend one leg for me. Hands come behind your head, come into your chest lift. Now, if you need to, bring your hands forward, you can get a little bit of height, and then push that foot away. Maybe you take less than 1/4 pound out of it. Hey, Stephanie, bend your knee a fraction of a millimeter. Yeah, good. And then press the heel down into the ground. Now, a lot of times when we do this, if we're quad dominant, we immediately try to straighten our knee to get our heel up. Whatever position your leg is in when it's on the ground, I want you to keep that same angle. Just push your foot away from your abs. Yeah, and then it comes down. Does that feel different? Good. And again. And honestly, the foot doesn't even have to lift. 2 more. And slide that foot in, slide the other foot out. Same thing. Just push the foot away. Now, if you think of a tension rod or like a shower curtain rod, right? The tension has to go from one side all the way to the other side. The tension we're trying to find is from the foot to the ribs. Okay, so if you don't feel that and you only feel like foot to quad, ask yourself if you're straightening your knee to try to lift the foot. If you only feel foot to hip, ask yourself if you're trying to lift the foot from the hip. We're trying to transfer force from our leg to our torso. Belly button in, looking in between the thighs if you can. Try not to look at the sky. Look in between your knees. Yeah. Curl forward rather than letting your head come down. Yeah. Last two. Last one. And then come all the way down. Nice job. Extend both legs. Now, just kind of see where your back is, where your hips are, and where your ribs are. So if you tend to have tight hip flexors, your hips could be in anterior tilt, your ribs could be in this kind of arched position. Think about everything sinking to the floor and see if your knees had to bend to allow that to happen, or if you got kind of trapped. That's okay, it's all just information. So let's try that again, just a little imprint and neutral. One more imprint, neutral. We are going to do roll-ups. If you like a prop for your roll-ups, please grab it. Allow your hands to come to the sky, and then let your arm bones relax down into the socket. Allow those arms to come overhead. Inhale, reach your hands forward. Exhale, roll forward. Good. Now, first one never counts. We're going to drive our heels down a little bit, reach your hands forward, and then imagine someone you like is coming up behind you and hugging you. So you're making an uppercase C shape, and then tuck your tailbone for me and roll, 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 tuck, 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 and then down. Inhale on the way up. Think of rolling like a ball forward. Good. And again. Good. So think about pulling this back. Yeah. And then roll your hip bones back for me. Yeah. And then try to place one bone at a time on the ground. Beautiful. Yes. And then we just reverse it. Good. Use your breath, everybody. Yeah. Don't hold your breath next time, and I think it'll be better. Yeah. So everybody, I know this is ridiculous. I want you to imagine you're a dragon. And dragons go, right? So we're going to inhale and then be the dragon on the exhale. Good. And then same on the way up, especially on the way up. Yeah. So if you really let that breath, let your rib cage expand and contract, it should help you be able to, one, move your spine, should help you be able to easily recruit your muscles. Good. Last one, we're going to come all the way down and bend your knees into your tabletop. Now, hands behind your thighs. Press your thighs into your hands. Think about your armpits connecting down. So we've got hamstrings, maybe a little glute, and some lat, yeah? Now, lift your chest. Try to keep that same connection. Now, maybe you have to bend your arms, maybe you don't. And we're going to bring our hands behind our head, push one foot away. And then switch. Good. And push. Now, if you need a little assistance, you can always bring a hand behind the thigh. Think about that push-pull, right? You're pulling in with your hand as you're pushing with that leg. Now, you can stick with this, or you can extend both legs, push one down, lift one, and then switch. And then switch. If you are doing scissors with those straight legs, keep it slow, keep curling forward. We're going to hold. Bring your hands either behind your calf or your thigh. Lift a little higher. Inhale. Exhale. Don't lower. Just take your hands back to where they were. And then switch. Other side. Lift. Get a little higher. Exhale. Yeah. Feel how your abs then have to stabilize you a little bit more? We use our biceps, abs. Try not to look up at the foot. Look at the thigh. Look forward. If you're like, why does Audra keep telling me to look forward? It's because our spine goes where our eyes do. Now, if you need your head down, that's okay. If you need to fully lift a leg before you lower the other one, or you need to lower before lifting, any of those are fine. Last set, you get one more each side. Lift, lift a little higher, hold. Other side, lift, lift a little higher, hold. Hug your knees in towards your chest and gently rock from side to side. Nice job, you guys. Go ahead, bring your legs back to tabletop. Push into your hands, armpits connect down. Keep pushing so much that your chest lifts up. Yeah, whenever you guys are ready. Okay, hands behind your head, rotate to one side, hold. Inhale, exhale, we're gonna keep it slow for 4, 3, 2, hold. Inhale, exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, if a full crisscross doesn't work for you, you can always tap the toe to the ground or even march. And if you don't want your head up, that's okay. You can always find that connection by pressing that hand into the leg, leg into the hand. So you're creating like a little innervation, right? That little isometric contraction will still help with that muscle recruitment, okay? Good. And we go 4, 3, 2, 1. And 4, 3, 2. I know it's so much harder when it's slow. Now, of course, if you like, you can extend that leg and reach them into your scissor as opposed to crisscross. Good. Couple more. And 2. Last set. Whichever variation you're doing is the perfect variation for you. Hug your knees in and gently rock from side to side. Go ahead, bring your feet down. Let your fingertips come to the sky, arm bones relax down, arms come out to the side. Now, press your knuckles down into the ground a little bit from your posterior shoulder. So if you feel your shoulder rolling forward to get there, widen it, don't press down as far. We want to find the back of our shoulder here. Now, close your ribs a little, so it's like they're pointing towards your belly button, and you can keep your feet on the ground or come up onto your toes. Let one hip lift a little bit as your knees go to one side, and then exhale from the rib cage, dragging that hip back. So this is not a huge range of motion because I don't want that back to arch or the shoulder to come up. We're trying to keep a little connection. Once again, from the front of our armpit, across the body, opposite inner thigh. Now, if this is where you are, fantastic. If you would like to come into your tabletop, great. Think about holding a little ruby in between your knees, and you don't want to drop it. So as one hip lifts, we're not shearing the knees, they're staying together. And we hold. And then drag it back from the ribs. Couple more here. Everyone feel those obliques a little bit? Good. This one can be tricky to find. So if you feel them even a little bit, that's wonderful. Last one. And then hands can either be behind the thighs or in front of the shins. Lift your chest. We're just gonna start rolling like a little pill bug. And maybe you get all the way up. Yeah, nice job. You're gonna use our prop behind our back a little bit and get a little bit of upper back extension. Now, everybody's proportions are different. I like mine about lower ribs, but you might need a little bit more help getting extension through your thoracic, in which case move down just a little bit. Either way, head is supported. Bring your elbows in your periphery. Keep the ribs pointed towards your belly button for a split second as you lower. Now, once you're down, relax for a second. Now, on your exhale, think about your ribs curling down a little, and you can lift up into a neutral. So it's easy to kind of curl forward, which is fine, but we're going to try to find one long line from our tailbone to our ears, and then get a little bit more extension on our inhale, and then exhale. See if we can just find neutral and extend, and then neutral. As you breathe, see if you can actually fill the ball with oxygen. 2 more. Hold this last one. Now, maintain your neutral. Inhale. Exhale, curl forward a little bit, lifting your ears to the sky. Good. And slide one foot up. Slide it in towards you. And slide it out as you lengthen over the ball. Exhale, curl. Let it slide in. Now, hopefully you feel your obliques starting to work as you move, even though we're not rotating. Nod your chin just a little bit more, and then lift your collarbones towards your knees. Yes. Do you feel your abs more? Good. Couple more. And 2. Last one. Curl forward, step that foot down, extend your other leg, slide it in, and then extend it as you lower. Now, as you do this, maybe you're going to want to move the ball up or down a little, right? So that's okay. Everyone's height and proportions are different. So maybe it's more comfortable up higher, maybe it's more comfortable down low. We have just a few more. Curling forward as opposed to up. Last 2. Last 1. And then come all the way to seated. We're going to come into either a cross-legged position, or you can bring your legs extended. And just go ahead and press your hands into your legs. Now, if you have really, really long arms and a short torso, you might have to move your hands to a different place. I have a long torso and short arms. So as soon as my arms are like straight, I'm already in extension. So just think about your armpits gently melting down, and then curl your collarbones up to the sky. And I'd like you to, even with your arms straight or bent, pull into your legs a little bit. Good. Now, hold here. I want you to look up. and then look down, and then look up, and then come forward. It's much harder to extend when you're looking down, right? Okay, so let's do that again. We're gonna pull and extend. You can just look up at your eyebrows a little bit. Good, 2 more. Think more about your collarbones lifting rather than your low back doing the work. So if you feel your low back here, don't go as far. We're just trying to find that same upper back extension that we found on the ball, yeah? Good. Nice, and then come back to center. All right, we're gonna bring our arms out to the side, shoulder blades draw down. If a goalpost is more comfortable, it's fine. Just check where your elbows are. If you're in goalpost, I'd like them wrapped forward slightly. And then just rotate to one side. Inhale, exhale, see if you can encourage just a tiny bit more activation, and then back, and then other side. And notice where you're trying to rotate from, right? So hopefully we're getting thoracic. And when you get to the end of one side, think about that thumb pulling back a little bit. So you get just the tiniest bit of scapular retraction on the side you're rotating towards. If you get that on the side you're rotating against, it's gonna kind of block you. With one more each side. Good, nice. And go ahead and come onto your knees for a second. So let your arms dangle and just see where your hands want to face. Now, if you tend to be internally rotated, your hands are going to face more back. If they're neutral, they're going to face each other a little bit more. Let them dangle onto the ground. Yeah, so you can see what they want to do. Good. And you might notice that like one hand wants to go one place, one hand wants to go to the other, and then it's just information, right? So draw one arm back and down, hold for a second, inhale, just stop that and see if your arm swings a little. Yeah, good. Yeah, and then other side. So notice when you pull the hand back, is it pointing back or is it pointing towards you? Yeah, relax your shoulder a little bit more. Yeah, and then just let it swing. Yeah, I know this seems like, what are we doing? Pull it back. It's like a wind up and then relax. Get a little bit more movement through that shoulder as opposed to elbow, right? Good. Now, notice how when you pull the shoulder back, your rib cage wants to rotate that way, right? Yeah, and then other side. Now, bring that one arm back, let the other arm come forward. Oh, big rotation. And then pull back. Big rotation. I would come up higher onto your knees. I think that will help just because you've got longer arms. Yeah. We got one more each side. Trying to keep the ribs in, you guys. We're not arching. Ribs back a little. Yeah, good. So this, 3 guesses. Nancy, I know you know what this is. Guess what this is important for, you guys? Walking, gait pattern. It's always the answer. Yeah. So now we can come up onto our knees a little bit. And just, if we're not getting arm swing and we're not getting thoracic rotation, our lumbar spine is going to rotate more. Our calves are going to work harder. Bring one foot forward. Tuck your tailbone a little bit. Pull your ribs in. Yeah. And bring one hand forward. Now, we're going to take the same side arm as back leg. We're going to swing it up, open our chest towards that leg, and bring it down. Let's do a couple more. Sweep the palm up, open, and down. So the reason we're doing it this way as opposed to this way is to get external rotation through the shoulder, trying to get that rotation through the thoracic. Good. 2. Good. Last one, like you're sweeping, splashing some water. Oh, what a lovely day. And then we get to do the other side. Yeah. Little tailbone tuck. So we're also getting a little bit of quad or hip flexor stretch on that back leg. And then sweeping that arm forward, and then open it, hello neighbors, and then back down, splashing that water forward. Good, opening the armpit, rib cage rotates. Good, now if you tend to arch through your low back or your rib cage pops, see if you can bring it back so your back isn't overworking and your glute is helping. Good. And just notice if one side feels different than the other. That's okay. Good. Nice job, everybody. Go ahead and come onto all fours. Go ahead, bring your shoulders directly over your wrists. And if you need to be on your fists or forearms, that's fine. And then just feel your shoulder blades. Let your shoulder blades glide up to your ears. And then let them glide down towards your hips. And then let them glide up. And then let them glide down. So towards the ears, away from the ears. Towards the ears, away from the ears. Now keep them away from the ears. We're going to let our sternum come forward, let the shoulder blades glide together like they're wanting to shake hands. And now lift your ribs, let the shoulder blades glide apart like they are now mad at each other. And then they glide together, they're friends again, and then they glide apart. If you're having trouble seeing what I'm doing, basically it's a closed chain version of a retraction and a protraction, right? It's just shoulder blades together, shoulder blades apart. Good. Two more. Last one, hold. Now push the floor away, externally rotate through your upper arm bone just ever so slightly. Think about your right knee. Push your right knee down and out slightly so your glute is helping stabilize you. Slide your left foot out. Fold the left foot in, press down and wide into that left glute, slide your right foot out. Good. Few more. I think your knees are a little too wide to support you. Bring them a little closer together and a little closer to your hands. In a little, yeah. Is that easier? Yeah. Good. Good, couple more. Trying to maintain that neutral pelvis and spine if you can. Using your breath. Now, if you would like, you can hover that foot up. If that doesn't work in the closed chain, that's okay. One of my favorite ways to get a little extra support and a little extra glute activation is to push into a wall here. So if you need to close your chain, that's okay, use the wall or a couch. Now, if that feels great and you'd like to add on, let your opposite arm spiral. So if you feel like your shoulder blade or your shoulder is pulling up before your arm does, think about it staying down, open your armpit. So we're trying to get posterior rotation of the shoulder blade itself. Good. So everybody, we're going to hold this last one. Hold. Where do you feel this? If you feel it in your back or your foot is pretty high, lower your foot, lift your belly button and ribs. See if that's more solid. And then other side. Hold it for a second and just see where you feel it. If your back is sinking or your leg is coming up too high, finding that support from your abs and your glutes is really important. Come back to center. Slide one leg out. Bring your other leg to meet it. We're in a plank. Good. Lift your hip bones for me a bit. Lift your hips more. And then Think about your butt squeezing forward a little bit. Yeah. Good. Good. Nice job, everybody. Find the buoyancy from the front of your body. Now, if it's appropriate, you can bend one knee, reach it back. If you just prefer to hold, it's fine. You have just a couple more. Last set. Knees down. Press yourselves into a rest position. Hands up and over to one side. Push your hips away. And as you're here, I want you to breathe into the side of your body that is lengthened. So if your hands are to the right, your left side is lengthened. Try to breathe and expand through those intercostals. And then other side. And then come on back. Go ahead and come onto your knees. Extend one foot out to the side. Now, if you come upright, actually, let's just kind of move our hips around our thighs a little bit. Yeah. Now, if you come up really high or even to upright, it's just a slightly different move. So I want you to think of a plank, a side plank, starting from this foot. So your ears are going to go away. Yeah, touching your hand down is fine. And we're going to bring our ribs in, breathe and hold. So wherever your hands need to be, it's fine by me. Now, think about like a little barrel here that you want to avoid. You're going to lift up and over, tilting your head down a little, stretching through this side, then push into that foot, lengthen through the crown of your head, finding that plank again. Yeah, yeah, good. And then up and over. Now, if you need your hand on the ground, that's okay. And it might be able to guide you to start, right? Think of your low abs drawing in, ribs in. If you'd like more challenge, your hands come behind your head. Slightly less challenge. One hand behind your head, other hand points towards the ground. Slightly less challenge. Other hand on the ground, guiding you. Good. Two more. Try not to let the crown of your head point towards the sky if you can help it. It's reaching towards the side, right? Like if you do disco fingers, right? That's the position you're pointing. Last one, hold. Now, come up a little bit more. Press down into that foot. See if you can balance as you bend that leg, yeah. And then we bring it down. Other side. Yeah. And just let your hips move around your thighs a couple times. Notice how as your hips move this way, your hips kind of stick out and it's less support through that glute, right? So one reason we're keeping this is inner thigh and glute are going to help us, okay? So now you're upright. We're going to think of that plank. This is as high up as you come. Draw the ribs behind you just a little baby bit. Yeah, good. Now, see if you can get a little up and over and then press into that foot, find your plank again. Yeah, lengthen your, there you go. I know, it's so good, yeah. Now, once again, can you use your hand? Yes. Good. Could you have both hands in your chest, in front of your chest, and you push into them? Sure. Could you have them on your hips if you need? Of course. Right? Hands behind your head, absolutely. Or one hand to guide you. We have just a few more. Finding that breath, finding that side plank or side over on box if you've ever worked on the reformer. 2, last one, hold for a second, and then you can bring yourself up, big breath, and then see if you can balance with that knee being out to the side. Yeah, nice job, you guys. We're coming on to our side. Now, if you would like more work, you can be on your forearm, but no slumber party shoulder, right? You've got to push the elbow into the ground, lift the rib cage up. It is a side plank. If you are not feeling the side plank, bring your head onto your ball, no problem. Push the foot, the top foot away from you. So much that your hip lengthens away from your face and your bottom rib lifts up more. Yeah, Stephanie, push your foot away from your face more. Lift your bottom rib. Yeah, there you go. Once again, it's easy to be here. We want to be here if you're up. Yeah. Now paintbrush that foot up a little bit and then back down. Bring your heel back behind you ever so slightly. Yeah, and keep it there as it comes up and down. Yeah. Now, if you, behind you more. Yeah, keep it there, Elizabeth. Bring your right hip bone forward slightly. Right, sorry, left, top, there. I'm like, I don't know my right from my left, you guys. Now, if your head is down, you might get more height. That's okay. This is how bad my right from my left is. I once was in a car with my ex and I was like, go to the right, go to the right. And I kept pointing and he actually went to the right. And I was like, why did you go to the right? And he was like, told me to the right. And I was like, oh, no idea. All right, last one, hold. Now brush that foot forward and brush it back, drag it back from that glute. If the ribs pop or the hips move, you've gone a little too far. We're trying to find a little hip differentiation. So think about the thigh bone moving freely in the socket. Okay. Oh, you're starting to sink. Lift your ribs, lift your ribs. Yeah, there you go. Good. 2. Last one, bring it behind you. We're going to wrap that top arm forward. Good. Now, if you're on the ground, your head can be on your hands. If you're on your forearms, still push them into the ground. Just tiny little foot behind you and tiny little lift and lowers there. Good. Tiny little circles. Dragging that foot through wet sand. And then reverse. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Awesome job, other side. The good news is other side, right? The bad news is other side. So once again, if you need to, you can be here, lifting that bottom rib, letting that top hip reach away from you, or you can be on your forearm. Either way, before you lift the foot, everybody bring your foot down. Put your hand on your hip. I want you to slide that hip away from you and push your foot away. More, Stephanie. Yeah, lift your bottom rib more. Yeah, there you go. And then that hip bone, there you go. And then you can paintbrush it up a little and bring it back down. Lift your bottom ribs for me more. Your bottom ribs, lift them up like a little rainbow shape. Yeah, good. And once again, if you're down, you might get a little bit more range. Bring your foot behind you more. Wait, bring it down. Rotate your hip bone forward a little. Lift your ribs more. Don't let anything shift. Only take, yeah, there you go. I know it's different. And keep that foot, yeah. Good. If we're going for height, it's easy to find range at the expense of wherever we're trying to go, right? So don't worry about height. We're just trying to get a little bit of movement. And then bring it forward. And we let the foot fold. Now, everybody, put your hand on your low back. See if you feel your low back moving here. Is your low back rounding? Is your low back arching? If it is, it's just information, right? Maybe you need to trace your foot on the ground for a couple. Maybe don't go as far, right? Use your breath. Oh, make sure you're not sinking into that shoulder. Yeah, pushing the floor away. I know it's hard to keep that, right? 2. Last one. Bring that foot behind you and we rotate. So once again, if you're down, you can always bring your hands onto your forearm or your hands, or you can be on your forearms. We just do little lifts and lowers. Notice how this is a very different sensation, right? And then tiny little circles. 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, and reverse. 5, 4, 3, 2. You're all awesome. Last one, come on to your stomach. All right. Now let your hands be underneath your forehead to start. Shift your hips from side to side. Now, as you breathe, see if you can expand into your back. And then exhale from the front. All right. One more. Now slide one hand by your side. Thumb will be down. Widen through your collarbones. Push that hand up slightly. And then out to the side. Then palm faces in as it reaches overhead. And then brush it back down. And then again. Let your shoulder blade glide on your rib cage. Last 2. And then we get to do that other side. Now the good news is, this might be your easier, more stabilized side. Bad news is, might be the other one. But either way, keep inflating into your back. And drawing away from the front. Let the shoulder blade move freely on your rib cage. If you need your hand to be on the floor here, that's fine. We have 2 more. Last one. Bring your hands to your side. So in a goalpost, my bad. So goalpost, shoulder blades draw down. Find those abs. Press your hands and elbows into the ground. Lengthen forward like you're being shot out of a cannon. It's kind of easy to try to get height if you're used to it. We're trying to go for length. So now get your glutes active. You can squeeze your cheeks or you can lift your feet. Inhale, exhale, float your arms. See if your body changed shape. If it did, you were up too high. Come down, we're trying it again. Use your armpits here, draw them down, then press into the floor, lengthen. Good, inhale, exhale. Good. Last one. Press, float. Good. Now hands can come down, whether you're pushing or just barely tapping, and then you can see about lifting up just a tiny bit higher if it feels good. And then exhale, lift up just a little baby bit. Last one. Think more about length than height, but if you want to add a little height, you can. Press your hands into the ground, roll your shoulders back, press yourself into your rest position, letting your back relax. And you can take your hands up and over to one side. You can take your hands up and over to the other side. We're coming all the way to standing. So if you can, come through a plank into a downward dog. If you can't, that's okay. We would just like to end up in a forward fold. Letting yourself dangle out of your hips a little bit. Nodding your head yes. Letting your whole spine respond. Now press into your feet and roll up. And we are going to bring our feet together. Now, for this, if this is where you are, great. If you want to just slide one foot forward a little bit and still have your feet hug each other, great. If you want to be on a tightrope, also great. Yeah. Now, if you would like, move your feet a little bit, tell your body, hey, I'm upright. This is easy, this is fine. Good. Now, remember, a safe nervous system is a happy nervous system. So if you feel like you're really wobbly and need a little support, you can either hold on to a wall or shift your foot position, okay? Bring one finger in front of your face. Now, that finger is not gonna move. And you're going to keep looking at it. Don't stop looking at your finger. Don't move your hand. But you are going to keep looking at your finger as you turn your head. And then you're going to keep looking at your finger as you turn your head the other way. And again. And again. Yeah. Boom. Boom. Same. Is it easier to one direction? Last one. Finger down. Switch feet, switch hands. Now, that last one, you kept looking at your finger even though you were turning your head. This time, keep looking at your finger. Don't move your head. We're gonna look, we're gonna track the finger with just our eyes. Try not to move your head, you guys. Yeah, it's trickier that way. Good. Now, we're going to switch feet again. We're going to look one direction, hello, and then look the other direction. Now, if you accidentally make eye contact with someone, it's fine. Just be friendly. Okay. Now, if you want a little bit more challenge, we're going to speed it up a bit. Boom, boom, hold. Boom, boom, hold. So 3, 2, freeze. 3, 2, freeze. Don't go into a range that your neck is like, why, right? It's not about like a huge range, just boom. And of course, if that's too easy, close one eye. And then other side. Same thing. You can switch the eyes every couple. Nice job, everybody. And go ahead, bring your feet together. Flip your palms up, widen through your collarbones. And then bring your shoulders to your ears, drop them straight down. Nice job. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you so much for joining me today. Nice work. I'm glad you're back. How did everything feel?
Really good.
Yeah. Do you like dance or do gymnastics or yoga or anything?
I do this.
Gotcha.
Not dance.
That's fair.